Hi, this is Professor Jimmy coming to you with Will It Play Part 2. And you'll remember last week we talked about the science of sound. And in the science of sound, we talked about how sound waves go through the air or through some other medium and they reach your ear, and that's what makes the sound. Now, many of you missed it on last week's assignment, the question about will sound go through bone? And the answer for that is yes. Sound will go through any kind of medium except for a vacuum. So an object with all the air removed, sound will not travel through that. And of course, outer space. I'll give you an example. Sound will travel through this big bone called my head. I can change the sound too. But you don't want to be playing on your head. Maybe your brother or sister's head, but not on your own head. So today we're going to be talking about how sound changes based on whether something is big or small. And your assignment is going to be to find 3 pots. A big pot, a medium pot, and a small pot. And I want you to think about how these sound. This big pot has a lot of reverberation. When I hit it with the wooden spoon, it has a lot of reverberation and kind of flows throughout the whole room. Sounds very clangy and bouncy, and that's why we're over here on this couch, to help make the sound a little dampened. But you can hear, even on the couch, that one has a vibrating sound that lasts a long time. Now the smaller pots, part of it is because the big pot is resting on the handles and it's being suspended a little bit. These smaller pots, you can hear the sound is different, but then also when it's resting on the couch, it's resting on the outer edge over here. So that sounds a little bit better, and then we have this sound here. So when you go from a big pot, it sounds really low. I'm going to dampen the sound by putting my hand up here. You can hear how that's a lower sound, and then over here, we have a higher sound. Once again, and I went to the edge of the spoon instead of the flat part, and it's letting the pot vibrate a little bit more, but I'm still dampening it by putting my hand on the pot. Medium, and then high. Now if we had even a smaller pot than this one, then the sound would be even higher because it's smaller. In fact, the Italian word for small is piccolo. And if you think about the tiny thing that looks like a flute but it's really short, that is called a piccolo because it's so small. So we talked about how the vibrations are happening here, and we talked about how we can mute the different parts. Now I want you to practice a little bit with me. Okay, so you're going to practice playing the big pot, and you're just going to do a dotted quarter, eighth, quarter, and then a quarter rest rhythm. It sounds like this. And you can experiment and find what works best, like 1 or 2 fingers, or you might need no fingers. Alright, so that's playing with one part. Now we're going to add a second part, and this part you can actually do with one person, and then we'll have the more advanced part in the middle. So I'm going to use the high-pitched pot, and I'm going to play that on beat 4 instead of a rest. So we're going to have dotted quarter, eighth, quarter over here, and then instead of one beat of rest, this one will rest, but then the last beat 4 quarter note will be on the high pot. Remember, a rest means where you have silence of sound or absence of sound. So that's the easy part, the bass drum. Think of this as almost like with a marching band. We have kind of the bass drum and like the cymbal or snare. And you're going to have a video showing a marching band drum line. The complex part is in the middle. And rather than try to illustrate this part for you in musical notation, sometimes it's best to just play it and try to play along with it. So I'm going to use this middle drum now, the middle pot, and play something a little bit more complex. Some of you will be able to do this and some of you won't. All right, so in the next video, you're going to see where all of these are combined.
Player number 3, you're a little bit off there.